Okay, hi everyone, my name is Shen Hao, and today I'll be talking about Google Zanzibar and Ori Keto. So if you have used Google Drive and Google Docs before, you'll know that each folder and each document has certain r- level of permissions, right? A person can own the folder of a document, a person can be able to write to it, it can be able to comment, it can be able to view it, right? Or it can have none of those permissions at all, and the folder and or file is inaccessible to the person. So as an example, right, if this folder is owned by Alice, maybe she can configure it such that Bob can view it, but is unable to edit it, right? And perhaps there's inside the folder there's, let's say, two documents, and if there's a README document, then because Alice owns the folder, she will also automatically, right? If she created the documents, she will also own the README as well as the Word document, the work document, right? And so, um, if but perhaps she might want to allow Bob to be able to edit this document because maybe she wants Bob to do some of the work over there. So maybe she wants to say, okay, Bob, you can view the entire folder and whatever's inside it, and you can view all the other files that's inside the folder, right? So you can view the README folder, I mean the file, README file, but you can not only view, but you can also edit the word, the document, right? The work document. So she wants to be able to configure these permissions, and in this case, the question is, how does Google maintain all this, right? So of course it may seem quite simple right now, but what if we have nested folders and we have more complicated permissions, right? What if we want Alice to set it up such that Bob can edit the work document but is unable to view the other files in the folder, right? So question is, how does Google implement all this? And the answer is that Google does it with something known as Google Zanzibar. So it's a scalable and good, right? All the other good qualities you can think about a system. Um, all of them are designed into Zanzibar. And the question is, how does it work? So we won't be going into the details in this video. I can do that in another video, but today I'll be focusing on how to use such a system for your applications. So the Zanzibar, right? The white paper is just a general idea. It doesn't offer any code, right? I don't think Zanzibar is open source, but however, people have read the code and people have the Ori organization, right? Ori has come up with a open source implementation of the Google Zanzibar system. So this Ori Keto, right? Ori Keto is if you Google Ori Keto is implementation of the Google Zanzibar protocol or database system. So today I'm gonna show you how to use Ori Keto, and specifically I'll be doing it through this web client that I've designed. So Ori Keto by itself is purely a API server, right? And the API server is, I mean, it outputs JSON and you input into the system uh using REST API queries. So it's a little bit hard to visualize what's going on. So today I plan to do that. Okay, so I'm going to use this GitHub link. So if you want to access the GitHub, is over here, Keto Explorer and my GitHub. And this is a playground to understand it better. And you can set it up over here by yourself if you want to play around with it, right? I use Docker Compose. So after setting it up, you'll see something like this. So if you navigate the port 8888 of the local host, you get something like that. And I set up one default namespace, right, called default, just so it can work with something. So okay, so let's say we wanted to implement this idea over here. So let's say we want to we'll be implementing this folder structure in this case. Okay, so in this case, there's a few things that we want. There's a few preliminary ideas, and one of such idea is that there's an idea that uh object is something, some relation to some subject, right? So in this case, the folder, we can say the folder, it has an owner of Alice, right? And we can say the folder has can be viewed, right? We call it viewer of Bob. So read the other way, right? This is the subject, this is the relation, and this is the object. Sorry, no, it's the other way around. This is the object, right? This is and this is the subject. Okay, so Ori implements these tuples, right? These tuples, they're called relation tuples. And so that's what we see over here with object, relation, and subject. Okay, so this is going to be a table I'm going to fill up soon, right? But Ori does something special, right? The thing is that the key idea is that this subject over here, Ori generalizes this idea of subject to something known as a subject set. And this subject set can contain, right, certain rules for expanding or yeah, for expanding this relation tuple. So what I mean is that, okay, right now we have folder owner Alice, folder viewer Bob, right? You can simply store that in a SQL database, and yeah, that'll be very very simple. But in order to encapsulate ideas such that if we have a README document, right? We have a README document that has a owner, right? It technically has an owner of Alice, but um but if I write Alice over here, then I'm gonna have to repeat this. I'm gonna have to repeat this for any other person that owns the folder. So suppose Alice wanted to co-own the thing with Charlie, right? So let's say Charlie came along, and Alice wanted Charlie to own the folder. Then in this case, if we implemented these, if we implemented the structure as such, right, such that we manually explicitly say who is the owner of the folder, then in this case we're gonna have to add like 3 more entries, right? We have to say that Charlie owns the folder, Charlie owns README, and Charlie owns the work document. So instead of doing this, instead of putting explicitly Alice over here, explicitly, right, I'm gonna change this over here into something known as a subject set, right? So what I can say is that Alice and Bob's, they are subjects. Okay, so I'm highlighting them in blue to say that they are subjects. But Ori Keto, right? So this is all possible. This currently done. What we have here is done in a relational database, right? As simple SQL. But Ori Keto expands on this idea and lets the subject not only be subjects, but it can be subject set also. And what's the example of a subject set, right? An example of a subject set is basically folder owner, right? So what I mean over here is that this folder owner is a subject set, right? And we can see it's a set because a subject is just one, right? One subject. Alice is just one subject. Bob is just one subject. But a subject set can be many subjects, can consist of many subjects. In this case, folder owner, right? It's going to be both Alice and Charlie. So folder owner, you can see over here, folder owner refers to, if I highlight it in purple, right? What Ori Keto will do is that when you query something like that, right, you expand out folder owner such that it looks for all the relations. So in other words, it's kind of like recursing up the tree, right? It's kind of like, I'm going to README right now. README says that, oh, my owner is whoever owns folder, right? So it goes up the tree once and it looks at whoever owns folder, right? And this is just one use of it. You can implement it any way you want. So yeah, so this is the key idea where instead of just having something, the object being owned by some subjects, right? Being owned by some subjects, we can have each of these subjects can be possibly a subject set, and a subject set is defined by other relation tuples. So basically, what we're doing is we're expanding this graph of sorts, right? And it need not be a tree. It can even be basically it's a directed acyclic graph. And the idea is that we keep on expanding this, and we specify a certain depth that we want to expand it to, and that is what Ori Keto allows us to achieve. So let's enough of this drawings, right? Let's go into the example right way. I think it'll be clearer also. So for example, I'm going to work in the default namespace, right? So I'm going to add object saying that folder is owned, right? I'm going to say folder has the owner of Alice. So I'm going to add a relation. We see that in this table over here, we have object being folder, the relation being owner and Alice being subject. So whatever I'm typing over here is making API queries to the Keto API server. Okay, so this is just a web client for it. Okay, so let's say let's continue this. So the folder is it can be viewed, right? So the folder has a viewer of Bob. Okay, so I add the relation. You see now we have two rows to the Keto table. Okay, so right now if I the most right column over here allows me to add relations, right? But the center column over here allows me to query, right? So let's say in the default namespace, the folder, I'm asking who can own. I'm asking who are the owners of the folder. So if I put a subject of, let's say, Alice, right? And the max depth, I'm just gonna put 5 for now, right? I'll show you what the max depth does soon enough. But if I check the result, you see that yes, Alice is in fact an owner of the folder, right? And if I put Bob over here, if I put Bob, you see that, oh, Bob is not an owner of the folder. And that makes sense because there's no folder owner Bob relation, right? There's only folder viewer Bob. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, but right now we see something quite clear, which is that if we see a problem over here, which is that if I search folder viewer Bob, okay, I'm gonna get true, right? But if I search folder viewer Alice, then I'm gonna get false, and that's because that in our Keto, right? Even though English wise, it's clear to us that the owner should be able to view, right, the something that he or she owns, right? Alice being the owner of folder should be also able to view the folder, but Ori Keto isn't clear on that, so we need to add a subject set relation, right? So okay, so right now we have two choices. One is we can say that, oh, the folder has a viewer of Alice, and that would fix it, right? But if I do this, it's not scalable to other folders, other owners of the folder, right? If I add another owner, then I need to add another viewer again, and so on. So I'm, instead of adding Alice as a explicit viewer, I'm going to add a subject set. So I toggle over here the subject set. I'm going to say that, oh, okay, so folder has the viewer of entire set of objects. And what kind of subjects do I want to put in the set? I want to put the folder's owner. Okay, so if I add this relation, we see that, oh, it looks a bit different, right? Now instead of folder relation, instead of folder viewer, a person, right? I have a folder viewer and I have folder owner over here. So what I'm trying to say, what this first entry over here says is that in the default namespace, right, all folders have the viewer of all the folders owners. So anyone who is the folder owner can also view the folder. Okay, so if I do this, then we can see that if I query for all the viewers of the all the viewers of the folder, if I query Bob, right? Okay, I need to put in max depth. If I put Bob, is true. Previously, if I put Alice, it wouldn't be true, but now we see that if I query Alice, it's also true. Okay, so if so if I put Alice, it's also true. Okay, so I put this viewer Alice max depth 5. You see that it's true. So now because of the first relation and the third relation, right, Alice can view the folder because she's the owner of the folder. So yeah, so this is how we illustrate. We have basically implemented some parts of this diagram, and specifically I'm gonna highlight it in green. We have implemented the Alice owning the folder, right? We have implemented the idea of a folder, and we've implemented that Alice owns the folder and Bob can view the folder, right? And Alice can also view the folder. So that's the three things we've implemented at the moment. Okay, so let's try to add the idea of documents inside the folder. Okay, so if I add, I'm gonna need to add some more relations. So I'm gonna say that let's add a readme document. So readme document has the owner of, I could put Alice over here because Alice is the owner of the folder, but once again, if I put Alice alone over here, if I put Alice like that and click add relation, it's not scalable because, right, if I want to add another owner, which is Charlie, then later on I need to add Charlie as the owner of readme as well. So it would be best if later on when I want to add that Charlie is the owner of the folder, I just need to add one relation, which is that folder owner Charlie, right? Instead of needing to add three relations, right? For folder owner Charlie, readme owner Charlie, and work owner Charlie, right? So so what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to say that anyone who owns the folder, right, also owns readme. So to do so, I, instead of adding Alice over here, I add a subject set, and I say that any the owner of readme, right? Readme has owners of whoever owns the folder. So if I add this subject set, you can see that now I have this readme, and whoever, basically this says that in the default namespace, whoever is the owner of the folder is also an owner of readme. Okay, so yeah, so if I now query default name in the default namespace readme viewer, okay, in my default query owner first, does Bob own the folder? The answer is sorry, does Bob own readme? The answer is false. But does Alice own readme? The answer is true. Okay, so yeah, so now it's a good place to illustrate. So basically we've implemented readme, right? Readme is done, right? And now Alice owns readme, and yeah, and okay, so besides that, we also need to implement that Bob can view readme, and to do so, we just need to say that whoever can view the folder can also view readme. So if I change this to viewer right now, and change this to Bob, you can see that currently Bob is not allowed to view it. But if we just add one more relation, that the readme viewers is whoever is a subject set, and whoever can view the folder can also view readme. Okay, if I add this relation, then querying the whoever can view the readme, whether, okay, Alice of course can view the readme, but can Bob view the readme? The answer is true now. Okay, and okay, so if I change this to Alice, we see that it's true also. And the reason is because Alice is the owner of the folder, and whoever owns, okay, and whoever, so right now you may be wondering, wait, why can Alice view readme if Alice is the owner of the folder and whoever is the owner of the folder owns readme, right? But we didn't say explicitly that whoever owns readme can view readme, right? Right now we have a readme viewer. Whoever can view the folder can view readme. We didn't say that whoever owns readme can also view it, right? So the answer is that it takes a different pathway. So in this case, the pathway it takes is that Alice owns the folder, and so whoever is the owner of a folder can view the folder. So Alice can view the folder, and because Alice can view the folder, right, whoever can view the folder can also view readme. So you can see that the path might not be the path might not be immediate, right? In this case, we actually took two expansions of subject sets in order to reach there. So in other words, if I put Bob over here, right? Now it's a good chance to illustrate. The idea of the max depth, right? Remember previously I said that over here I have a directed acyclic graph kind of like data structure, such that if each one of this, right, when it expands out to different branches, is considered a depth of one, a step of one expansion, and how many steps I expand is called the depth of the max depth of recursion, right? So if I query Bob right now, if I query at depth 1, right, you can see that, if I query at depth 1, you can see that it's false, because readme, right, viewer is this subject set, and because we set max depth of 1, the subject set doesn't get expanded out, right? So if I set if I query if Bob can view the readme at depth 1, I'm going to get false. But if I query at depth 2, then I'm going to get true, because this subject set, right, whoever can view readme, this subject set is expanded out to whoever can view the folder. In this case, Bob is the viewer of the folder. Okay, and so if I query a max depth 3 onwards, is also true. Okay, but this not, so we see that at least we can see that Bob, right, currently can view readme only starting at depth of 2, right? And how about Alice, right? At depth 1, we see that it's false. At depth 2, we see that it is false also. And the reason is because we have expanded out, right? Whoever can view readme, who can view readme is all the viewers of the folder, right? That is depth 1, right? Who are the viewers of the folder? It's number 1 is either Bob, right? Or number 2 is the owner of the folder. So this is depth 2. The owner of the folder, this subject set over here is depth 2. And if we don't expand it out, if we keep max depth at 2, then we're not going to reach the clause that Alice is the owner of the folder. Only if we expand it one more, only if we expand it one more, then is this highlighted subject set over here expanded into this line over here. Okay, so if I do 3, max depth of 3, then we see it's true. So what's happening over here is basically, if I draw it out, right? If I draw these relations out, it is that we have the folder, and who owns the folder? Who owns the folder is Alice, and who views the folder? View the folder is Bob. Okay, then who else views the folder? Is also Who else views the folder is also those who own the folder, right? And in this case is folder own, right? And in this case, who owns the folder? It is Alice. Okay, so Alice owns the folder. So you can see that, okay, so yeah, so this is the case. Then inside the folder there's a readme, right? And what do we say for readme? We say that who owns the readme is the people who own the folder, right? The people who own the folder, this is subject set. So I'm circling the subject sets, right? But I'm leaving the subjects in the open like that, not circled up. And who can view readme is the viewer of the folder, right? So we have these two subject sets over here. You can see that, okay, so who's the owner of the folder? This is Alice, right? And who's the viewer of the folder? In this case is this, right? And as well as Bob. Okay, so we have a situation such that for Bob to view the readme, we only needed 2 max depth of max depth of 2, right? You see that this is the distance between readme and Bob is 2, whereas for the distance between the distance between readme and Alice is 3 if we want to expand via this view, right? So if we're looking for people that can view readme, then Bob, it just has max depth of 2, right? This is 1 and this is 2. Whereas if we want to look for people, if we want Alice to view the readme, it needs to go through 3 hops, right? And to show you, we can draw it out. So this is 1 hop, then this is 2 hops, and this is 3 hops, right? So yeah, so that's just a elaboration on what I mean by the max depth, right? This max depth over here is how much we want to limit the recursion. And there's maybe some reasons why we want to implement this max depth is because if we have a very, very huge system, right, then maybe we, the querier, when we code it out, we will know how much depth we want to query because we designed the system. But if we put this as we don't have a max depth parameter, then maybe the system is very huge and you have depth of, let's say, 10,000. That will take a lot of time. But what if Keto doesn't know that, right? What if it's a very simple query, like you don't, for a particular query, you don't need that kind of depth. And then you'll be wasting a lot of time because you'll be querying 10,000 layers when you only need to just do like 1 or 2 layers perhaps. So that's why there's this max depth parameter in here for that Keto has, that allows us to say what's the max depth I want to expand before I give up, right? And yeah, so that's the idea of Keto. Okay, so for further purposes, how do we implement this work, right? This work. So this work document, it'll be similar, right? So we have the default, instead of folder and readme, now we have work. I'll just call it work document, and it has a owner of whoever owns the folder. Okay, so whoever owns the folder, where is that? Work document. So whoever owns the folder also owns the work document now. Okay. Okay, but in this case, so right now if we query whether Bob, right? Okay, I didn't add the viewer thing, so let me just do it. So we need to say whoever can view the folder can also view the document. So yeah. Okay, so now if we do this, we see okay, so in this case Bob can view the document, right? Okay, so right now over here we don't have anything for editing. So if we want to add the idea of editing, we need to add one more clause. So we're gonna say that for the folder, whoever owns the whoever who can edit the folder is all the people who own the folder, right, by default. So this is one clause. The owners of the folder can also edit the folder. Okay, and we need to do that for each of the other items as well. Yeah, we need to do that for each of the other items as well. So whoever can, so for the work document, whoever can, the editors are those people who can edit the folder, right? So editors of the folder can also edit the work document. Okay, and let's say the readme, we didn't want to change it, so I'm lazy to implement the readme. So right now we have, okay, it's a bit messy, but we have, for the work document, right, we have whoever can edit the folder can also edit the work document. Whoever owns the folder can also owns the work document, and whoever can view the folder can also view the work document. So right now we ask if Bob owns the work document, you're gonna get false. If we ask if Bob can edit the work document, we see that it's false also. And we ask if Bob can view the work document, we get true, because Bob can view the folder, right? Bob can view the folder, so he can view the work document, right? So basically we've implemented almost all of it right now. So we've implemented work document, we've implemented that Alice can own it, right? So okay, this was done previously. So we have implemented the view also, but we want to say that Bob can edit the work document, right? But we only want to let him do that. This is what we are left with right now, and this is what we're left with right now. And how we do it, right, is we say that Bob can edit the work document directly without mentioning that, without affecting the fact that Bob cannot edit the folder, right? So we don't want Bob to edit the folder, but we want Bob to be allowed to edit the work document, right? This is something we see often in Google Docs, right? So in order to implement that last part, right, we just say that the work document can be edited by Bob. Okay, and now if we search who the work document can be edited by, Alice, make step 5. Okay, that's clearly true. But we put Bob now, then it's true also. Okay, and we see that now Bob can view it. Now Bob can view it. Now Bob can edit it. Right, but Bob does not own it. Right, does not own it. And just to check, right, we can verify that Bob has not been able to edit the folder, right? Bob is still unable to edit the folder, and Bob is still unable to edit the readme. Okay, so this is just a quick illustration of what Keto can do for you, right? This is just a very simple case applied to something like Google Docs, right? So, okay, so now we implement all of this, right? And if we want to say that we're gonna add one more, right now Alice is the only owner of the folder, right? And because Alice is the owner of the folder, Alice inherits all the ownership of the other items in the folder as well. But suppose if we had done it the naive way, right? And if we had done if we had done just object relation subjects, right? Just three terms, right? Object relation subject. Then if we wanted to add Charlie as the owner of the folder, we need to add a lot of other things as well, right? We need to say that Charlie can now own 3 items, right? That's 3 lines already, three rows, and then we need to say on top of that that Charlie can view all the things also and edit all the things. That's like there's an explosion of possibilities. So every time you want to, if we just use the naive method of, let's say, using SQL, then anytime Charlie wants to anytime anybody wants to be added to the folder, right? Let's say Charlie wants to be added to the folder, you need to recurse the entire subtree of all the things inside the folder, right? And that's very tiring, right? And if you need to remove it and you do any edits to the entire folder, who can own the folder, the permissions to the folder, then you need to recurse that all the way down, right? And basically, instead of doing the recursing at update time, right, Keto allows you to do the recursing at query time, right? So it's basically in short, Keto or Google Zanzibar is a directed acyclic graph builder, and during the update, right, it builds the graph, and during the query, it expands, right? It traverses the graph using breadth search, right? Or yeah, using breadth search, and it limits the depth that you can travel to. Okay, so yeah, so that's basically the key idea behind that. And if we want to add Charlie, right, we just say that the folder is also owned by Charlie, right? And now we can see that the work document can be edited by Charlie. And max depth of 5. You can see that now we just by adding one line, right, just by adding one row of data that Charlie owns the folder, we have let Charlie inherit all the other items in the inherit the permissions of all the items applied to the folder, the items in the folder. Okay, so I'll say that again. Just by adding one thing, just by adding that Charlie owns the folder, the ownership and the permissions of all the other items within the folder are automatically inherited from that one clause, right? And basically it corresponds to adding an edge up here that Charlie owns the folder, right? And by doing that, right, the graph over here, right, by doing that, by just adding one line that Charlie owns the folder, yeah, by just adding one line, right, we've essentially added enough data such that the queries can be processed correctly. Okay, so if I were to summarize Keto in one sentence, is that Keto, right, instead of having a row in your database being object relation and subject, right? In Keto, instead of this is SQL, right? In SQL you do this object relation subject, but in Keto, in Keto or Google Zanzibar, right, essentially the idea is that you have object relation subject or subject set, right? And by allowing this subject set, you're basically turning all these edges, right? These are edges. Each relation is an edge, right? You're actually by adding this subject set, you're allowing nodes to be connected to other nodes using edges. So you're, instead of having just a list, right, a list of relations, you're having a graph of relations, and this graph, right, is what is expanded on during query time. So yeah, basically that's the idea of Keto. I hope that this video has been useful for you. If you did like it, do do leave a like and let me know if you guys want me to go through a setup tutorial for this Ori Keto Explorer, right? The instructions should be quite clear, but I can guide you guys through some of the common pitfalls as well. Okay, so yeah, thank you.